Hello everyone, I hope you all are doing fine. This is our lecture 9 of our lecture series on transportation engineering. In previous lectures, we have covered some geometrical design features including our horizontal alignment. In this lecture, we are going to study about vertical alignment. Vertical means it is above the ground. If we see a vertical profile, we will have two axes, one x which is distance in the longitudinal direction and another axis y in which is the elevation of the points in longitudinal direction. If there is any change in this profile, like if I'm going upward in the longitudinal direction or if I'm going downward in the longitudinal direction, this whole design will be studied under vertical alignment. These images, you have seen these kind of scenarios on the road. Whenever we are traveling on road, we encounter many situations in which we have to climb up the slope or we have to drive down the slope. So these slopes are made with various design characteristics. Vertical alignment includes vertical movement like upward movement and downward movement on the road. Vertical alignment are consist of these two things. One is gradient, another one is curve. Let's start our discussion with the gradient. If we say gradient, we have already heard about this term gradient while studying the camber. We said the gradient or the minimum gradient should be equal to twice the camber. And while studying about the gradient, we said that gradient is the longitudinal slope. Longitudinal slope on the road. This longitudinal slope is in the direction of traffic, where our traffic is moving in the same direction. If a slope is visible, that will be known as gradient. The camber is provided in order to drain off the surface water. Similarly, the minimum gradient is also required to drain off the surface water. But there is a requirement of or limitation of maximum gradient also. And that maximum design gradient or the gradient, the maximum value of gradient which is used to design your geometrical features of road is known as ruling gradient. So gradient can be defined in four type of gradients or four type of slopes. First one is ruling gradient, which rules means which is used to design all the geometrical features. Another one is limiting gradient. Limiting gradient, it is the limiting one. After ruling gradient, if there is a scenario that we are not able to keep the cost of the construction low because of some cutting or filling, we can provide a limiting gradient also. Means it is a higher type of gradient as compared to the ruling gradient. Then third one is exceptional gradient. Few exceptions we see. Exceptions means out of the box, only during a very critical condition. So exceptional gradient is also one of the slope which can be provided on the road, but only in critical conditions. And fourth one, this is minimum gradient. Minimum means whatever gradient is required to drain off that rainwater, that is known as minimum gradient. These are the four types of gradient. And another type of vertical alignment is curve. Whenever two gradients meet, gradient can be upward, can be downward. When two different type of gradients meet with each other, they can be different in their alignment or they can be different in their magnitude. Whenever they meet, they will form a curve. We'll later on see about these curves. One is summit. Summit means peak, and another one is valley. The V itself tells you about the shape of the curve. So these are the curves, and the gradient, it is individual curves which are made of combination of gradients. Let's get into the discussion about the gradient. A gradient is a rise and fall of road in the direction of traffic flow. Rise and fall. There can be a rise, can be a fall. Whenever I'm moving on a road, if this is the road, this is the profile of the road. So the gradient is upward gradient, and this will be represented with this notation plus n%. Whenever there is a downward gradient like this, it will be represented as minus n%. What is this n%? If we say, we have already seen the values of this n% in our camber design. When we said camber for heavy rainfall areas, for a CC road or thick bitumen pavement road, it was 2%. So what 2% represents? 2 represents this value, 2 by 100, and it can further be simplified as 1 by 50. So this slope can be represented as, whenever I am moving in horizontal or longitudinal direction by 50 units, my position will be changed in vertical direction with 1 unit. So if I join these 2 points, this is the slope which represented by this value 1 by 50. If I write it as plus 2%, this means I am moving upward by 1 unit after 50 units of longitudinal movement. But if I represent it as 2%, this means minus 2%. This means I am moving in downward direction by 1 unit. So this is the slope which is termed as minus 2%. So this is how we represent the gradient. Whenever we have combination of gradients, like a rising gradient is meeting with another falling gradient, this angle, if this is n% or call it n1%, this slope here is n2%. So this will be our deviation angle. Deviation angle, and will be represented by n. Deviation angle is first slope minus second slope. This is first slope minus second slope. For this scenario, we have first slope as plus n1% minus, we have second slope as minus n2%, because we are using negative sign for the downward gradient. So finally we can write this deviation angle as n1 gradient plus n2 gradient. This is the deviation angle. While studying the curves, because we have discussed that curve is the combination of gradients. So while studying these curves, we will talk about these different combination of gradients, and we'll look into different type of combinations, and we'll understand what type of curve is formed with what type of combination. Let's discuss about the gradients. The ruling gradient. Ruling gradient is the one which rules the design, or it can be the maximum gradient used to design the vertical profile of the road. If I'm moving on a road and I need to have a upper slope, so this slope, the maximum value of this slope which I will use to design will be ruling gradient. Ruling gradient. That's why this is also known as design gradient. That's why this is also known as design gradient. Another value higher than ruling gradient is limiting gradient. Limiting gradient, the location where because of some economical restriction we cannot provide ruling gradient, we have to provide a gradient higher than ruling gradient. If there is exceptional change in your project cost because of change from ruling to limiting, then you can provide this limiting gradient also. In questions, if you are asked the maximum gradient with which a road is designed, the answer should be ruling gradient. But if the question is asked in such a way that which one is higher gradient, first ruling gradient, second limiting gradient, then your answer should be limiting gradient is the higher gradient or steeper gradient. So it is the steeper gradient as compared to the ruling gradient. It is provided only when there is enormous increase in cost of construction with ruling gradient. So if we are required to provide a gradient which is additional or higher or steeper to the ruling gradient in order to cut the cost, for limited stretches we can provide limiting gradient. Then third one is exceptional gradient. It is exception. It will not be provided like frequently. If you see roads, you won't find a exceptional gradient. This will be visible only on very steep terrains like mountainous hilly terrain, and that also it is sandwiched between two flatter terrains. It will not be provided for more than 100 meter of stretch. If it is provided more than 100 meter of stretch, it will be very difficult for a vehicle to overcome this slope. That's why a very flat gradient up the slope and down the slope is provided for exceptional gradient. So exceptional gradient is steeper than both the ruling and limiting gradient, and it is provided only in unavoidable conditions. It is not to be provided for a stretch more than 100 meters. It is a very important definition because while comparing these three gradients, you will have to know the hierarchy, which is highest or the steeper most is exceptional gradient, which is the least type of slope out of these three is ruling gradient. One another type of gradient which is provided so that the drains which are provided on the sides can allow the water to drain off in longitudinal direction. The road, this road surface, let us say this is the camber, I am making the cross section. Here is the drainage which is running parallel to the road with the same vertical or same vertical alignment. When water comes into these drains from the road because of camber, the water stays here. What we want, if the water level will increase or water will stay here, it will percolate into the ground. With the percolation of this water into the ground or the subgrade soil will get water logged, and with a lot of water in the subgrade, its bearing capacity will decrease. That's why we don't want water to stay or to be stagnant. So we want water to flow away. So for this purpose, we provide a gradient in the longitudinal direction to drain off water in the drainage. The minimum slope required for the drainage is known as minimum gradient. For a type of concrete side drains, the slope is 1 in 500, and for earthen drains, the slope provided, minimum slope provided is 1 in 200. So these slopes should be provided in the pavement or in vertical alignment in order to drain off the rainwater. So the definition of all the four gradients should be, you should remember these definitions. And this hierarchy is also important. In many exams, you will get a question out of the relation of these gradients. Then these values are provided by IRC. These are the maximum values of gradient which should be provided on different type of roads. For plain or rolling terrain, the ruling gradient is 3.3% or 1 in 30. If you compare the minimum gradient, that is 1 in 500 or 1 in 200. So these are very flatter gradients. We see a plain or a rolling terrain, the ruling gradient can be 3.3%. If a limiting gradient is to be provided, the value can be 5%, and for exceptional thing, the value can be 6.7%. For mountainous terrain at elevation more than 300 above the mean sea level, the ruling gradients can be the provided values, and for steep terrain having elevation more than 300 up to mean sea level, these values are to be used. You can remember these values directly if you see for these three types of terrain: 3.3, or you can say ruling, limiting, and exceptional. 3.3, 5, 6, 5, 6, 7, 6.7, 7, 8. So if you just read it once, you will be able to remember these values. So mountainous terrain and steep terrain, you have the values given here. Exceptional gradient is only provided in exceptional chances, and most of the times these are provided in hill or steep gradients. Now let's move on to the type of curves. Till here we studied about the gradients, the individual slopes. Now we are going to study about the combination of slopes. We have two types of gradient here. Two types of curves here. The first one which we are going to study is summit curve. Summit curve is also known as crest curve. When we see a sinusoidal wave, this is known as crest or height. The summit means also the height. When we are going from a downward gradient to upward gradient, whenever we are going from a upward gradient or downward gradient, the slope which we will find, this is the slope which we will find, and this is known as summit curve. There can be many scenarios, but first let's understand the definition of summit curve. Summit curve, it is a curve with convex upward or concave downward alignment. If you see this curve, this is convex upward, this is convex upward, and if we say downward, it is concave. Then why these curves are provided? There can be few design parameters which can consider for a summit curve. First one can be comfort. Why comfort is important? Because whenever we are moving on a curve, there is whenever we are moving on a curve, there is a centrifugal force applicable which is pushing at us outside that curve. This we have already seen in a horizontal curve. But for this kind of curve, that is a summit curve, the outside the centrifugal force which is applicable outside outward to the curve, the direction of centrifugal force will be upward. So this will not create discomfort because there is a counteracting force, that is weight of the vehicle. Whenever or wherever we are on this curve, we will not feel any discomfort because of the centrifugal force, because everywhere the centrifugal force will be balanced by weight of the vehicle, and the velocity of this vehicle will not be very high while covering this summit curve, because we know for a rising gradient it is very difficult to maintain a very high velocity. So the first consideration, which could be the discomfort, is eliminated here because of this balancing of forces. Second consideration is sight distance. Whenever we are designing a summit curve, the sight distance is a very important consideration, because while moving on a summit curve, our sight distance is somewhat limited. Our sight distance is limited. So we should have enough sight distance to perform the operations safely. What operations? Stopping, overtaking. These operations need to be performed on the roads or on a vertical curve. So if we have enough sight distance, that we will perform these operations easily and safely, we will have a safer road experience. So for design of summit curve, sight distance, which can be SSD, which can be OSD and ISD, any of these can be. So here, if we talk about the shape of this curve, as per IRC, Indian Road Congress recommends the shape of summit curve as square parabola. Why a square parabola is recommended? Because it provides best riding quality. Best riding quality. Then it is easier for calculations and setting out. For calculations and setting out of summit curve. And the most important, there is uniform change in gradient can be provided with square parabola. So circular curve or square parabola is also parabola is also very useful while calculating various features of the summit curve, and it is easier to set out. जब हम राउंड पे इस कर्व को एक्चुअली RLs मेजर करके सेट आउट करना चाहते हैं, तो बिकॉज ऑफ this profile square parabola, we can calculate things easily. Now let us see what are the various combinations of gradient which will give us a summit curve. Combinations of gradient can be, let us say, first a rising gradient meets with a falling gradient. If a rising gradient meets with a falling gradient, there is a curve which has convexity upward. So this curve is known as a summit curve. What will be the deflection angle? Deflection angle is n1 minus n2. Deflection angle will be n1 plus n2. Similarly, if there is a rising gradient comparatively steeper and another rising gradient comparatively flatter, then this combination also gives us this is a rising gradient and this is another rising gradient. Both are rising gradient, but second one is comparatively flatter. So to join these two gradients, we need a curve which has complexity upward. But this time the n value will be changed to n1 minus n2. When this is steep, not sleep. When a rising gradient, any type of rising gradient, meets with the flat gradient, what is flat gradient? Gradient equals to 0. A rising gradient meets a horizontal slope, then also we'll get a what? We'll get summit curve. Deflection angle will be equals to n1 only, n1%. If we find a falling gradient comparatively flatter meeting with the another falling gradient which is comparatively steeper, like we have a falling gradient, this is a falling gradient, and we have another falling gradient. This combination gives us a slope which is convex upward, and the deflection angle n can be represented as minus n1 minus n2 and simplified as n2 minus n1 small n. So this can be your, so these are the combinations which will give you a summit curve. Whenever you are studying summit curve, you should know about these combinations, because in GATE 1 mark question can be asked by giving you various scenarios and asking you out of these which one will give you a summit curve. Let's get into the design of this summit curve. Let us say a rising gradient is meeting with a falling gradient. The curves, this is the straight line, straight profile. With this curve we are joining the straight profile, and this curve seems to be good as a summit curve. the distance, or let's say this point is the start of the summit curve. Let's call it as origin 0 0, this direction as x, this direction as y. The length of curve is taken as L. The slope, rising slope is n1, the falling slope is n2. As we have already discussed that the equation of this slope will be a square parabola, so we can write this equation as y is equals to 2a, not 2a, x square, just as we are writing a itself as a constant, so we will not use any ax square plus bx plus c. So this will be the equation of parabola. Roughly we are taking, let's derive what kind of equation will we get. Let's take the slope, because many terms are given in slope form. This is dy by dx. You can write it as 2ax plus b. This is equation 1. Let's call it equation 1, and this is equation 2. Let's find the boundary conditions. For x equals to 0, y is also equals to 0. From equation 1, we can say that if x equals to 0 and y equals to 0, the constant c will be equals to 0. Using another boundary condition, we can say that at x equals to 0, we have the slope dy by dx equals to n1. So from equation 2, we can write it as dy by dx n1 equals to 2a 0 plus b. So from here we have b as n1. This is another constant. With another boundary condition, x equals to L, dy by dx will be equal to n2. From equation 2, we can write it as n2 equals to 2a, value of x is L here, and the value of b is n1. So we can calculate the final constant a as n2 minus n1 by 2L. This is the value of a. If we put the values in the equation 1, we will find equation 1, or the equation of parabola, as y equals to n2 minus n1 by 2L x square plus n1 x. This is the equation of parabola. But here, to set out this curve, let us say this is the slope, or this is the tangent, this is the base. We know this slope n1. We have this curve. To set out these points, we should know the distance between the straight line and these points. Why? Because if this level is 0 and this is some slope, we will be able to find the elevation of all the points present on this slope. We will minus this value which is in between to reach the curve point. So what is this height? This height will be equal to, if slope is n1, this distance is x, the height will be n1x. So if we minus the value of y from n1x, we will get the value of the summit points or the points of these curves to find the elevation. Let's call the upper value as y dash. So we can write y dash as n1x, that is the complete value, minus y. So y dash can be written as y dash will be equal to n1x minus the equation of y can be placed here, n2 minus n1 by 2l into x square. Then this plus will become minus n1x. Plus n1x minus n1x can be cancelled out. This minus can be placed inside. This is dash, not square. And this is equals to n1 minus n2 by 2l to x square. This is our equation for our summit curve. This equation can further be simplified. We know the deviation angle n is equals to first slope minus second slope. Second slope can be negative, positive, or anything. Whenever we'll put the value of n2, we can keep it as negative or positive. But while we are just placing the label as n2, we can write it without any sign. So we can simplify the equation y dash is equals to n by 2l into x square. This is the equation of your parabola. This is very important equation. You should remember this so that you can find various other characteristic of this summit curve. Go through this derivation once and see what we have done to reach the solution. Next, we are going to see some values. One is radius of curvature. Of summit curve R can be written as length of curve by the deviation angle. Length of curve. There are very small questions which can be asked in the examination based on these formulas. Then let's write another height of summit point. The height of the highest point on this curve, we can maximize y to find the height of highest point. The equation of y is equals to, we have seen the equation of y here as n2 minus n1. This is the equation of y. So we can write it as n2 minus n1 by 2l x square plus n1x. Maximize y by dy by dx is equals to n1 minus n2 minus n1 by 2l. This is 2x plus n1. I can remove it and can put it equals to 0. So this will be equals to n2 minus n1 by l equals to minus n1. We can change it to n2 minus n1 minus n1 l, or simply we can write it as, here it was x here and x here, the value of x will be minus n1 by n2 minus n1, and it can be simplified as x equals to n1 by n1 into L upon n1 minus n2. I have reversed the sign convention for the denominator in order to remove the sign. So this will give you the equation or the point of highest. It will give you the distance of the highest point on the summit curve. So there is the distance x. To find the value of y at this x, you can put the x into the equation and you can find the value of y. So this is how you can calculate various features of this summit curve. The very important feature is length of summit curve. Length of summit if it is a summit curve made up of a rising gradient and a falling gradient. If I reach here, I'll be just able to see through this section to an object placed here. This is me, this is the object. Let's call height of your object 1, which can be you sitting inside a car, which can be an object as you're coming from opposite direction. It can be anything. Let's call it h2. So it can be for SSD. For SSD, h1 is a car and h2 is a object. Because to calculate SSD, we consider that we are able to see an object from the distance equal to SSD, and the height of object we consider is equal to semi-mountable curve, that is 0.15. For OSD, the value is h1 is a car and h2 is also h1, I'm sorry, is also a car. So what these objects can be: for SSD there can be one of a obstacle and a car. For OSD there can be a car and another car. This is the height. Let us say from the center where they are just touching this crust, the distance of object 1 is s1 and the distance of object 2 is s2. We have an equation y is equals to ax square. The value of a is already calculated here. The value of a we have as n by 2l. So we can calculate, we can say y, if we put conditions, we can write as h1 is equals to a s1 square and h2 is equals to a s2 square. For s1 we can write it as h1 by a whole root, and for s2 we can write it as same h2 by a whole root. We know that the total distance required from h to h2, from h1 to h2 is equals to s, that is equals to s1 plus s2. So we can simplify this equation by writing the combination of these two, that is root 2, that is s. So if we square these terms, s square will be equals to 1 by a under root h1 plus under root h2 whole square. We can write the value of a as a is n by 2l. Here this was the value, n by 2l. So We can simplify this equation as s square is equals to 2l by n root h1. Okay, it's not a combined root, root h2 whole square. We want this value of L because it is the length of curve. We will write n s square by 2 under root h1 plus under root h2 whole square. So this is the final formula which you read in condition of, in first condition where length of curve is more than your sight distance. This condition is applicable for the length of curve more than your sight distance. This equation first for length of curve more than your sight distance, that is length of curve is equals to ns square by 2 root h1 plus root h2 whole square. For SSD, for sight distance to be SSD, if we want to design for SSD, we can take h1 as 1.2 meters and h2 as 0.15 meters. So this equation for LC for SSD will be simplified as ns square by 4.4. Can simplify and write the value of the denominator. This is a very important equation to remember. For OSD, we have this h1 as a car and h2 as a car again. So this LC value will be simplified as ns square by 9.6. I have just put the value in the above equation and calculated the denominators. This condition is when length of curve is less than your SSD. Second condition, when length of curve, sorry, that was length of curve more than your SSD. Now second condition, when length of curve is less than your sight distance. For this condition, for SSD, your equation for length of curve will be 2s minus, you can reverse the term, 4.4 by n and for OSD it can be 2s minus 9.6 by n. To remember this, you can say that you have differentiate the s term minus reverse the remaining. This was your n by 4.4 and your s term. You have differentiated the s term and wrote it here and reversed the remaining and wrote it after, or subtract it from 2s. So just for remembering, you can say that it is not the proper logic, but you can remember this thing by such a way. So finally, you should remember the formulas given on this page as the most important. This is the most important formula, and these are not very frequently, but if they decide to make a numerical problem but complex, they'll find these formulas to be appropriate. Derivations are not very important for you, but the final results are important. Better you understand the derivation and remember the final results. In next class, we'll look into the valley curves and we'll see some of the numerical problems from the summit curve and valley curve. Thank you so much.